Getting an IT job in 2024 and 2025 isn't an easy job, and a lot of people struggle with it. But there are still millions of developers across the globe who make decent money, travel around the world, and live fulfilling lives. So, what differentiates successful developers from those who struggle to get a job? If you're a beginner and want to set yourself up for a successful IT career, watch this video. My name is Andrew Zucker, I'm senior full-stack developer. On this channel, I help beginners to start in IT and developers to make more. Let's begin. Before getting to the actionable tips, let's first talk about mentality. Because without the right mentality, none of the following tips will actually work. And I think the best way to represent you a wrong mentality is to show you an example. So I found this post on the FreeCodeCamp forum where the person posted like big question. I'll not be reading all of that, but overall this person was learning programming. Because of the personal issues he stopped and now he wants to get back. But because the ChatGPT 4 was released, GitHub Copilot, he found out that for senior developers, GitHub Copilot even now is more useful than a couple of junior developers, and OpenAI and Microsoft continue to improve it. And I'm really scared. I'm scared to be not employable after I learned web development. I think about this issue a lot and I have anxiety because of that. Should I change the direction of programming, learning, or just calm down? So totally get his question, because a lot of beginners are scared that AI gonna replace them, and that's completely normal question. So, and he receives a lot of response from experienced developers who are saying that AI is not smart enough to replace developers, that many people use AI, but AI can never replace a human because they are too easy to trick, it doesn't stand on the word, it keeps changing its answers. I literally confused and trolled ChatGPT, and that GPT is quite bad in CSS, so you can just calm down. Another experienced developer, Jeremy, said to him that please provide some quotes. What type of senior developer said that Copilot is better than a couple of junior developers? And I, as a senior developer, can also say that a couple of junior developers are not better than the GitHub Copilot, because Copilot just helps you to write the code faster. It cannot complete tasks by themselves. And when I need to create certain things, I hire junior developers to help me to do that, because good junior developers are a great tool. They still cost less than senior developers, but they can work really good if you spend enough time interviewing them and finding really good candidates. He tries to explain to him that the market needs juniors. Also, he tries to explain to him that there is no such position as HTML coder, that the Crystal 9 was worried that this position will be replaced, but this position was replaced like hundreds of years ago, because there is no such position as HTML coder. Every web developer uses HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and some of the frameworks like React, Angular, Vue for years. So there are no such position as HTML coders, because this is like very low level job that got replaced quite a long time ago. But Crystal 9 continues to stay on his own opinion. He said that ChatGPT is only going to be better. I'm sure GPT 5 or 6 will be much better. And by the way, that's been more than a year from this post, and there is no still ChatGPT 5 or 6. Jeremy once again tries to calmly explain to him that you make claims without zero context, without zero data. We still need juniors for decades because this is the only way to make senior developers. That HTML coder was replaced decades ago. And Crystal 9 once again says, my gut tells me. So, and instead of providing like valuable data and information and proof for his claims, Crystal 9 says, my gut tells me that. Jeremy once again tries to convince him that lots of developer teams have juniors. Can you point to some data showing that most teams hire zero juniors? And explains that lots of companies won't hire underqualified juniors. And unfortunately, there are a lot of underqualified juniors who haven't learned enough to be successful. And that senior developers are really expensive because they're limited resource. Qualified juniors on a team with some senior developers can accomplish more than a team with the equivalent total salary but consisting only of overloaded senior developers. So he tries to explain that most companies try to find the balance by hiring a couple of senior developers, but also a couple of junior developers, because team that consists only from senior developers is going to cost a lot, and most of the startups and companies just cannot afford having like 10 senior developers. Also, he provides some links that shows that there are 169,000 junior software engineer jobs in the United States alone, and that AI is not eliminating those jobs. And Crystal 9 once again, I'm afraid it will do this in the near future. And Jeremy tries once again to convince him that experts are telling you that it won't happen soon. Another developer tries to prove to him, so you can see where it gets. Jeremy also realized that and says, it seems like you don't want to be convinced. It's okay if you no longer want to learn programming, because this is your own choice. You don't have to learn programming. If you think that it's going to be replaced and this is the bad job, well, don't learn it. Nobody makes you do that. Like, it's your own choice and your own decision to go into a certain career. And if you love coding, I believe that this is the great career that's gonna give you a lot of opportunities. It helped me to change my life and thousands of other people. And if you like creating stuff, it's a very interesting job to do, and it's not getting replaced by AI. And this Crystal 9, as a beginner, asked the question, and experts try to explain him why he's wrong, but he still plays the victim mentality and tries to prove to the expert who works in the industry that he's right, but this expert is not right. You can see Jeremy tries to provide more helpful resources, more information, some links, some proofs, etc., etc. And Jeremy tells him, just keep working hard. That's all what you need to succeed. And don't panic, it won't help you. But he says it's hard. Of course it's hard. Getting good job in any industry is like super hard, but that's your own choice to go. You cannot become successful in anything without working hard. So in the very end, nobody was able to convince Crystal9 that he's obviously wrong, and Jeremy just decided to end it up with, this thread has run its course and it's unproductive now. And that's how it ended. So please don't be like Crystal9, and if you make decision to go into programming, don't play victim and don't say that because of AI you cannot find a job, or because of the market is overloaded, or because of any other things. You're not victim. The only reason why you're not getting a job is because you aren't good enough, because there are some jobs for sure. So please get rid of this I'm a victim mentality and instead say it will be very hard, but in the end it will be worth it. Okay, now you have the right mentality, it's time to start taking action, aka learning. The first thing to do before starting learning any new programming language, technology or tech stack is to do a huge research. Yes, this research might take you a couple of days, but it's gonna save you months of wasted time, because if you're gonna be learning things in the wrong order, it will just take you more time. For example, when I was learning front-end development myself, instead of starting with HTML and CSS, I started with JavaScript. And when I wanted to build a website with JavaScript, I wasn't able to fully do it because I didn't know HTML and CSS, and I had to stop learning JavaScript to take a step back to learn HTML and CSS, and only then I was able to get back to JavaScript. And I wasted a couple of weeks doing that. So step one is always research. Second thing there is consistency. I know everybody talks about consistency and it's a boring thing. In the end of this section, I'm gonna show you an action tip that will actually help you to stay consistent, but I wanted to highlight the importance of learning almost every single day, because it's always better to learn every day for 1 hour than just once a week for 5 hours. But even better if you're gonna learn every day for 5 hours. I know not everybody is able to dedicate that amount of time for studies, but you should understand, the more time you dedicate, the faster you will be able to progress, and the faster you will be able to get to your end result, aka job in IT. After watching this video, you're probably gonna feel a little bit motivated to start learning like right now or maybe tomorrow, and it's super cool, but you need to understand that this motivation will go away in like 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or maybe even a couple of months. But a couple of months is not enough to learn programming. So from the day one, instead of relying on your motivation that will come and leave from time to time, you need to rely on the actual systems and on the discipline. And as promised, let's switch to the laptop and let me show you how to actually be disciplined. The best tip that I can give you on the discipline is to use calendar. I personally use Google Calendar, you can use any other calendar, it doesn't matter. And within the calendar, you do 2 things. The first one is you create your ideal day. This is, for example, how my ideal day looks like. And of course, I don't follow the schedule. I try to follow it, but it's super hard to stick with this exact schedule, especially when you have like different meetings, different things. And I also don't want to live life like a robot. But you have to create like your ideal day, this type of day when you're gonna feel the most productive and actually happy. Because personally for me, on days when I'm super productive, I feel happy in the end of the day because I did a lot of things that helped me to achieve my goals. Just by crafting this ideal day, you're already gonna make like 1 step forward into being more disciplined, because you already know what you want to do. And when you look at the clock, for example, right now it's like 9 p.m. In my ideal day at 9 p.m. I should be having dinner. Right now I'm filming this video, so you can see I'm not following my schedule, but at least I try to keep it in mind. And sometimes when I just don't know what to do, instead of going to the TikTok and scrolling, I go into my ideal day and I see that, okay, now it's 9 a.m. I have deep work, I should just go and work. The second thing that you need to do is to plan out your studies and overall your work sessions. So depending at where you are right now at your journey, either you're already like looking for jobs or just starting out, you have to create some blocks in your calendar where you want to be productive. So let's say to keep going, you're studying like 20 hours per week, which is a good amount of time, not too much, but not too little, and achievable even if you have a full-time job. So to study 20 hours per week, you should have like 7 3-hour sessions or 4 5-hour sessions, depending on your schedule. So let's say, for example, you're working like from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then of course you want to have maybe some gym, then some dinner and rest. So let's say you're free from like 7 p.m. Let's just create some block here from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. 3 hours. And let's say study. Boom, done. Now you duplicate this block, let's just save it and drag it to the different day. When you're just starting out, I don't recommend filling out like your whole week because it's going to be insanely hard to follow it. Just create like 2 or 3 blocks where you're going to be studying, working, applying for jobs, so whatever. But just create a couple of those blocks. And when it's going to be 7 p.m. of the Thursday of 11th, the only thing you love to do at this time to go to your computer and study for 3 hours. You need to reprogram your mind and think, if you're not going to be studying at that time, at the date, like you're gonna die. Of course, not literally, but if you're gonna skip at least one of those blocks, everything is gonna be fucked up. So create just a couple of blocks a week, and it will already gonna help you to stay disciplined for long enough. Moreover, when you're gonna be completing those blocks, you're gonna be feeling happy that you kind of completed the task. So it's gonna help you also to slightly gamify your learning experience, and it's gonna help you to stay disciplined. So just two things: create your ideal calendar and create study blocks in advance, like 1 day before, 2 days before, and when the time comes, just do exactly what your calendar says, study. Knowing JavaScript, React, Python, or any other technology that you will learning isn't enough to get a job. Because if you're just writing the code, you're not bringing a lot of value to the company. So besides working on your coding skills, you need to improve your communication skills, because a lot of developers lack good communication skills, and developer who codes well and who communicates well is a hidden gem. I know, you're an introvert, and talking to other people feels really uncomfortable. To be honest, I'm kind of an introvert myself. If you're gonna ask like my friends, they will say that I don't like getting to know new people. But I'm still sitting here talking in front of the camera, recording the videos, running my blog, writing my newsletter, having thousands of calls every single week with a lot of different people. Why am I doing that? Because I know this is the only way to get the end results, to build a cool business, to grow in terms of my career. And this is actually the exit from my comfort zone, but this is the only way for me to move forward. And communication will not only help you on the actual job, it will help you to actually get the job. Because one of the best ways to get a good position is by receiving a referral. Referral is basically someone from the company and just gonna recommend to the boss or manager to hire you instead of any other person. Yes, this is not fair to other candidates who just apply through the website, but this is how the world works. So if you want to actually get an advantage when you're gonna be searching for jobs, you need to have some referrals, you need to have some connections, some people who can recommend you. And you can find a lot of people like that just by messaging someone on the LinkedIn, by making posts, by writing something, by attending different meetups, by getting to know people in Facebook groups. And let me show what I mean by that. For example, very popular website for meetups, meetup.com. You just type, let's say you're learning JavaScript, so let's say JavaScript, and you type that, let's say you live in Berlin, so Berlin. Boom, search, and here you can find a lot of events related to like JavaScript for beginners, Angular, Vue, Berlin.js, etc., etc. So you can find a bunch of meetups about JavaScript where you can get to know with more experienced people who know JavaScript better than you. Here you can find connections for getting job, getting referral, you can learn something new, you can improve your LinkedIn by posting that you're active member of the community, that you're attending those meetups. If you're living in the smaller city, unlucky for you, you can attend like online meetups. There are a lot of online meetups which you can join from anywhere in the world. If you're living in the big city, perfect, use it as your advantage and visit as many meetups as you can find, get to know two people there, start building connections. For example, in the LinkedIn, you can also type like JavaScript in the search. You can find the group where there are 16,000 members who love JavaScript. You can join this group, you can start talking to people there, asking for tips, advices, sharing maybe your own knowledge. You can also find a bunch of groups in the Facebook where you can start engaging with people, helping people who are less experienced than you and asking for advice from more experienced people. Then if you find someone nice who replies to you, you can write him in the DM, find a friend or a buddy or just a mentor. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, especially for introverts, but this is a really good source of knowledge and like your personal growth in the industry. Okay, it's time for the last but the most important step, is the actual job search. First of all, you need to understand that it's going to be hard. I see dozens of comments from people who say that they struggle to find a job, and it's very hard. But nobody promised that it's going to be easy. Getting a high-paying online job where you can travel around the world, work from your computer, have the full freedom of your time, have a bunch of bonuses, such a job is a valuable job that a lot of people want to get, and a lot of people ready to work hard to get such an opportunity. So yes, it's going to be hard, but if you want that job, if you want those benefits, if you like to code and you like to create stuff and you want to make good money for that, what's other choice you have? I review hundreds of CVs of beginners every single year, and 80 to 90% of people repeat the exact same mistakes that I'm gonna share with you right now. And if you're gonna omit just those two mistakes, you're already gonna be ahead of almost everybody. So the first mistake is actually your CV or resume and your portfolio. Most people think that if they completed a couple of nice projects, if they completed a course or university, doesn't matter, every company should want to hire them. But no, that's not how it works. Company gonna want to hire you only if you're gonna become a hidden gem. And this is actually the first tip, become a hidden gem. So you need to look at yourself, your CV and your portfolio from the third point of view and analyze what recruiter gonna see while reading throughout your CV. And if your CV and portfolio is not making the recruiter excited, the chances of getting an interview are going to zero. To stand out from competition, you have to have an exceptional CV, an exceptional portfolio. Yes, it's gonna take you a couple of months to build it, but throughout those couple of months, you're gonna learn a bunch of new things. You're gonna become a better programmer that in the future and long term gonna allow you to have way better jobs and way better offers. In one of the next videos, I'm gonna break out the exact framework on how to create cool CV and cool portfolio, and gonna reveal my own CV template that I use to get 10K per month software developer job. The second tip on the job search is actually quite hidden thing. Most of the people, when they apply for jobs, they stop practicing and they stop preparing for the interviews because all of their focus goes into applying for jobs. And that's okay to put a lot of focus into applying for jobs, but please dedicate at least like 15% of your time to still practice, to still add new features to your portfolio projects, to still go through tricky interview questions and interview preparation. Because it takes a lot of time and effort to get this invitation to the interview, and you want to be ready at this point. And the only way to be ready is to actually practice throughout the way, improve your skills, so when you're gonna land your interview, you will stress less, because throughout all of this time, while you were trying to get this interview, you were preparing, you were practicing, and now you're ready to impress on the interview. And as you can see, becoming a developer takes a lot of work, but so does every other thing that helps you to become successful in life. Either you want to become a successful businessman, doctor, lawyer, or any other profession that brings a lot of money and status. All of those successful people put a lot of hard work into becoming successful, because this is the only way to actually become successful. There are no shortcuts to that. But it's not enough to just work hard, because, for example, baristas and waiters are also working hard on their jobs, but they're not growing. So besides just working hard, you need to work hard in the right direction. That's why in the next video that you'll see somewhere here, we'll break down the future of coding and front-end development and how AI gonna change the industry. So see you there.